Dear friends, welcome to Spacefaring Civilization. Hi, I'm Masood, and Spacefaring Civilization is where fans and filmmakers of optimistic science fiction come together and inspire a better future. Today I'm going to be starting a new type of series. So it's what I call Learn by Doing. So as I go through the short film that I'm going to be making called SOS, I'll go through the steps that I am taking, or I have taken, or I will be taking. So then that way you can follow on, and also it'll be a good guide for everybody to also do their own short films. So today we're going to be focusing mainly on writing. So just let me go to my screen. So today we're going to be writing a 5-page script, or should I say we're going to be doing a guide on writing a 5-page short script. As I mentioned, I'll be using my short film SOS as a kind of a test study, and we're going to be going through the steps that I took to come up with that short film. So it's something that I've learned over the years, going through workshops, going to workshops and classes in the industry, writing and filmmaking industry. I don't claim to know it all, so I don't know it all. So this is what works best for me at the moment. But it's something that we go through, we discover, we refine. So follow with me. If you have any questions, just pop them down in the comments. In the chat, and I'll respond to it. As a matter of fact, I'll go to the chat page, or should I say the chat? So this is the chat section, which should be on the right of your screen. I've actually done it full screen, but you can have it on split with the video. So as you watch the video, you can ask questions and I'll respond them. So follow with me. What we're going to be covering is coming up with ideas, then refining that idea and coming up with the concept. So basically expanding that idea, coming up with the concept before we go and write the script. So this will give us some design before we go ahead and write the script. It's generally a good idea to do that, to write the script. Write some kind of a concept before you go and do the script, because sometimes you think about things and you move things around, and it's more time consuming if you write the script, then you change the plots and you change the characters and the dialogue over. I learned this in one of the filmmaking workshops. Just to get your creative ideas and creative juices flowing, so getting your creative muscles working. In 20 seconds, think about quick ideas, something that you think would make a good optimistic science fiction. It doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever comes into your mind, give yourself 20 seconds, write down, so take a paper and pencil. If you want to use a computer, fine, use a computer, but paper and pencil works the best because we're faster writing than typing. And come down with, write down with ideas. Now, these are very short sentences. I'll give you an example. So it needs to be somebody that does something. So this is an example. An alien falls in love. That's an idea. So it could be as simple as that. Write down as many as you can. Let's just time ourselves, 20 seconds, give ourselves 20 seconds. And I'll play a music while we write our ideas. Take 20 seconds, starting, just give me a second, I'll get the timer going. Starting now. Did you come up with a lot of ideas or short ones? It doesn't matter how many you came up with. It's just an exercise. It gets your subconscious, getting ideas very quickly. So the idea for this short script that I came up with, originally I just had it as a team or a group saving people from committing suicide. So that was the kind of idea I had. But then what I did was I wrote a concept for it. So I'll just show you the concept. Excuse me, sorry, I'm just need to go to the right place. So this is how I formatted it, and I got it from a workshop that talks about writing pitches. So pitches for TV, TV studios and film studios. So keep this document to maximum 1.5 page. Format it this way. Just on the top, very top, just have a tagline, what it's about, what the format of it is. You can specify how many minutes you're going for, but what other subgenres does it also contain. Then write down who the characters are. Now take a bit of time. Take a bit of time doing this, because this is the most important bit: the characters and the relationship between the characters. Then the plots come. So the plots are kind of worked out, so that it's intertwined in between. So work out the characters. So in my case, I came up with these characters. So the main character. Sorry, I should actually go back and talk about the logline. So this is these bits here. Just let me highlight it. So this logline, so even though the idea was about a group of people saving people from committing suicide, I decided to make the person who's trying to commit suicide the main character. Now there are several reasons for this. One is that I wanted to introduce the group gradually, but also it's something that I might use. So this short film for a web series in the future. It's also so this is another thing I wanted to suggest to you. When you're writing, think about other possibilities where you're going to take this short film. Well, just making it for film festivals, that's great, but make sure you can get the most out of your work that you can. So not only you're learning, you're also submitting to a film festival. Also make it a proof of concept for something else. And also then that way it has more life. If it catches on, if there's interest, then it has more life. It's not just a period of time and then you put it on the shelf. So in this for SOS, I had the idea of doing a proof of concept of shooting outdoors with multiple cameras. So this is something that I'm going to learn. And with my team, we're going to learn, and we're going to use that for the feature film that I'm writing right now. But let's go back to the concept document. So the logline in here, I'll just read it out. It's a story of a lonely man who wants to commit suicide on the top of a bridge. But every time he's about to do the deed, he's interrupted by someone needing help. So the format of this is you mention who the main character is, what they want or what they want to do, and what's stopping them from doing this. So in this case, that what's stopping them doing this can be a negative or positive, but in this case it's a positive. We want to stop him from committing suicide. So there's people who are interrupting him are basically part of that organization that I mentioned. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is how I introduce the group gradually. It's not all at once. And we're kind of focused on the character, so we sympathize with the main character. So then this is where working out the characters, who the characters are very, very important. Spend a bit of time on this. So in this case, Luke is my main character. But then I talked about the group itself, who the organization is, who the group is. Now, this is not going to be probably shown, or it's not going to be very apparent in the short film, but it's good for the actors and for the crew, for the cast and crew, to actually know about this, where we're going with this. And also, this is a work in progress. So when you come up with your script, that's not the end of the journey, that's the start of it. So when you get your team together and you discuss it, obviously everybody will have some idea, and then that way you kind of refine the script as you go. So it's at this point, just get your idea out. So this is another thing. This is more about getting your idea out and putting it on paper. So it's something that you can refine and work through. And then the rest of the characters. So I basically did a brain dump of this. So typically in a pitch document, they recommend to, when you talk about the characters, talk about where they're at when the story starts. So what are they feeling? What have they gone through? That kind of thing. But in this case, I've just included everything that I could think about that character and the relationship between the other characters. So this is for my own, I guess, purpose to know, okay, what I was thinking at that point. Then you write the synopsis. So this is where you take a bit of time and you think about the plots and think about the so the 3-act structure. You don't have to stick to that 3-act structure, and in a short film, it's too short to go through, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. But it's good to think about it. How do you introduce the character, and what happens? What's the problem that they try to solve, and at the end, what's the growth? What did they benefit from it? So obviously, I start with Luke. So on that first paragraph that you see, I should actually show you that screen. So Luke is in the middle of a remote bridge, stacking rocks into his backpack, thinking he has nothing to live for, and no one cares if he dies. So obviously this is a little bit descriptive, and that's okay, keep it at that descriptive. It's going to change slightly when we go to dialogue, but this is kind of, again, documenting what it is that you're thinking, that we're thinking at that point. I won't go through the whole thing, but the second paragraph is basically where I start introducing the team. So he puts on his backpack and stands on the edge, just as he's about to step up and jump. An Italian couple tourists, Angelo and Sofia, startle him and ask him for direction. He tells them the correct direction, annoyed that they disturbed him. The couple thanked him and asked him to take their photo before they leave. For a minute, Luke thought that was nice. He helped someone, but now he's going to go back to killing himself. So there's a bit of a comedy in there as well. So it's a very tough subject to tackle. So throwing a bit of comedy kind of lightens the mood a bit as well. For this short film, it works well because we want to be a little bit lighthearted, but at the same time, we want to have a serious message at the same time. In this video, I'm just going to show you what I've done because it's kind of like a cook saying, here's what I've prepared before. But in the future videos, we'll actually, together, we're going to go through and actually write a script. That's more about the project that I'm thinking of. That's an open source project where everybody contributes, everybody in SFC community, or those that want to contribute. And it's going to be like a collaborative effort. So it's something that I've been thinking of for years, but I'm kind of working towards that. So when you go and write your script, and this is one thing before we look at the script, there are many scripting softwares that you can use. There are free ones, there are paid ones, there are really expensive ones the industry uses. If you haven't used the scripting software, I really recommend you do it. You can use like Word templates and whatnot, but they're a little bit cumbersome. It kind of it might annoy you, but also it takes a lot of time to fiddle things around and whatnot. And when things go wrong, correcting it takes a long time. Just using a scripting software makes a lot of help, and you don't have to worry about formatting because the formatting is done for you. But briefly, in a script, I should mention, so one scripting software that I can think of that's that I think is still free, or at least you can sign up for free, is called Celtx, C-E-L-T-X. It's a great software. I've used it before. It's great. But let's have a look at the script. So for those who already know about how a script is formatted, just bear with me. I'll just go through this for those who are new to this. First, you describe the scene. And the way you do it is first mentioned, so at the very top, you see it's called EXT. EXT is short for external. So that kind of gives a heads up, or like, you know, it gives an indication that this is an external shot. While writing a script, you're not too, you shouldn't be too worried about how the director is going to film things, but you need to have enough description in there to kind of give the reader a bit of a, so work with their imagination, they can kind of see it, how things are working. And I'll come to that. You actually, so you won't be as descriptive as the concept. So the main thing is to visualize in as much as you can in text format. Then you, after you've, so this is the format. So first, is it external, internal, or is it internal, external? Then where it is, and this you try not to be too specific. So in this case, I've just said waterfall. So it can be a waterfall near Canberra, or it can be waterfall in Sydney and things like that. Doesn't matter. And the time of day. So is it day, night, afternoon, morning, evening, dusk, whatnot. So the scene headings. So for every scene, you have a scene heading. And then you have an action. So this is, again, describing what's happening. You won't describe what people are feeling. You won't describe their backgrounds or what's happening. What's happened before. It's what's happening now, right now. What action is taking place, so people can visualize it. So in this case, a man walks up on the lookout bridge and starts picking up rocks. That's pretty much it. So that should give the reader a kind of a visual indication what's happening. The next scene is external bridge. So from that you can deduce that. So if you put our director's hat on or camera person's hat on, we've got a scene where it's kind of a scene. It's a scenery shot, or you could say it's a long shot. It's a long shot of a waterfall, and you see a little figurine, you know, going and picking up rocks, you know, things like that. It's kind of like an opening, what's happening. Then the next scene, you're going closer. So you're closer to the person, and you're having a more detailed look at what's this guy doing, what's his story. So that's how you break down scenes. You can even break it down even further, but this is how the basics go. Then the next one is external bridge day, as I mentioned. Luke is putting rocks into his backpack. So in this, so now we can introduce the character, because before we just don't know who he was, but now, so in the script, in the short film, we will not actually mention the character's name, but now we know that it's Luke. So when you do dialogue, first you have the person's name or the character's name, and what you see in the brackets is what's called a kind of a so it's what do you call it? It's so if it's not a person, so if you're not showing the person, if it's a voiceover or whatnot, you put it in brackets. I forgot what it's called. If anybody remembers, just type it in the comments or in the chat. So in this case, Luke, voiceover. So what we're saying, we're actually seeing what Luke is doing, but we're hearing what he's thinking. So he goes, yep, I'm going to do it. No one cares anyways. Why should they care? I've got nothing to offer. So here you don't have to describe what Luke is feeling. He's basically telling us in a subtle way that what he's feeling. So this is how normal conversation happens. You don't say, oh, I'm feeling depressed and things like that. You don't say that, but you would say, oh, nobody cares, things like that. So it's a more of a natural interaction. Then you go back to the action. Luke picks up the backpack and puts it on his shoulder. He stands closer to the that's edge, not sedge. Sorry, spelling mistake. Putting his hands on the rail, so he's about to jump. Then again, voiceover. Okay, this is it. Ready, set. No, hang on. Let's do 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, and it's about to say 3. And Luigi says, Señor, mi perdone, Señor. Look, what the hell? Where did you come from? You scared me. I could have fallen in. So there's a bit of comedy there as well. So you get how these things put together. So this is how dialogue happens. You try and keep the actions to a minimum because the dialogues should basically give us indications what's happening. And also it leaves it free for the actors to put their own mark onto the characters as well. So if there's a particular way that they think the character would react and act, then they're free to do that. So you're not dictating what actors should do. And this, and when you're doing dialogues, this is very hard. Even I'm struggling with it. But you need to think about how the character would say things. When you're writing, it sounds as if it's you talking, and that's okay for the first draft or second draft. It's okay. But there is a method that is used that makes it so it helps us to refine the dialogue even further, and that's getting the actors together to do what's called a table read. And from that, you kind of gather, okay, how would this character would say something, or how would they react, or would they say something, or would they just use their facial expressions? So these are the things that we'll cover in future videos. So let's go back to I just want to point out a few other things. So I'll have this script available for people to have a look at. I'll put a link in the description below. But if you go right to the end, if you go right to the end, so this is how I've decided to actually introduce the so this is how I've introduced the organization SOS. So these are, so SOS stands for Save Our Souls. So the group is dedicated to saving people from committing suicide, and it's so you might have, so far you might have been asking, oh, okay, so where's the sci-fi part coming to it? So SOS is so that it's an organization that's formed in the near future, and they're connected to the space station Unity, which is what you've got, what you see at the back here. So that's a concept that I've developed with the help of a few wonderful people. Where Space Station Unity in this short film is the central hub where these, or should I say, the control place or mission control for these groups to go and help people. And the way they go and help people is very subtle. Excuse me. They have so they have what do you call it? So they have these missions that they go on, but the missions are initiated by a friend or a family member or somebody who's concerned about somebody, and they do it in a subtle way. So they don't go and say, "Don't stop killing yourself," because that's sometimes not helpful, or it might actually make things worse. So they try and give people confidence. And this short film kind of shows how they go about doing that. So that's pretty much it for now. Like I mentioned, I'll post this script if anybody wants to have a look at it. In the next video, we'll try and refine the script. So from now on, I'll work on the short film. Sorry, I'll go live as I'm working on the short film, so that way you can walk through it with me. So come on the journey with me, and you can provide me feedback as well while we're doing it. So this is another thing that why I'm doing a live stream, is that there's an interactive portion. So looks like nobody's actually logged on, but that's okay. It's only the start. Hope you enjoyed that. But before we go, I want to leave you with a trivia. And if you know the answer to this, leave it in the comment. Who said "we are one"? So the character in one of the optimistic science fiction TV series said "we are one." Who was it? Why did they say it, and for what purpose? So leave your answers on the comments below, and we'll talk about it in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me. And before I leave you, I'd like to leave you with this thought: we can change the world for the better. Yes, we can. See you next time.